Yeah, hair is crazy. So I've got the full beard because I am not going to be shooting anything for Flight Chops. This is the instrument rating status vlog. Is that what I'm calling it?
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating.
Trying to fit in the instrument written test prep has been a huge burden. I'm not a good student traditionally, so it's been really hard for me to fit it in, and it's just a weakness in general. Contacts! So I'm going to basically be working on trying to maintain currency in this airplane while I'm also studying for my instrument rating. Alright, cool, man. Well, you're kind of like my first official passenger, even though Martin ended up scooping it, kind of, but he's a pilot, so I don't know if he really counts as a passenger per se. We're passenger 1.5, how's that?
Sounds good to me.
Alright, cool. Alright, so this is Boxing Day 2018. Heading to Windsor to fly the Harvard. I got a 3-hour drive. So 6 hours back and forth to get to Windsor is tough, but I'm using the time to study in the car by listening to some audio stuff from Harv's Air. And I'm also fitting in time to study from home, of course.
Here is that.
Remember acceleration and deceleration errors with the magnetic compass? Fun stuff. So I'm just working out my setup. Obviously this is not ideal in the kitchen. Just down from a currency flight, I actually got my first and second passengers in today. The first one wasn't exactly planned, but Martin came by to help out. He's a pilot, he flies tailwheel, so I figured what the hell. I went and did what was gonna be my solo warm-up circuits with him. Alrighty. Okay, how you doing in here? You're all briefed?
Getting there. Okay, the stick is stowed, I see.
Yeah, so want to unstow that?
Do we want to? Or?
If you want to have a stick. I mean, well, you know, we're just doing circuits, so let's not bother, eh?
Okay.
Because I won't be getting control of the circuit.
Do you want him to have the stick though?
Yeah, I'll switch it up when I'm doing the fuel.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want to do it now, but
yeah, we could do it now.
Okay, did it definitely lock in?
I
don't want.
Yeah, it's definitely locked in.
Because I don't want that falling out.
No.
So you're comfortable with that?
Yep.
Okay, so that was the last item for the briefing. We've covered everything else. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Hopefully no more distractions.
Well, you're a pilot, so you know the drill. I'm gonna, give you some updates on stuff once I'll talk through what I'm doing.
Yeah, please do. I always enjoy that.
Okay, fuel caps are on. Prop's been turned through. Oil's checked. Good to go. Had a great greaser and then a bit of a smasher 3-pointer. Flared a little too high, but anyways, still working on that, but not terrible. But anyways, yeah, maintaining currency in this airplane is kind of where it's at for me right now. That and getting sorted out for instrument rating, written test prep. So look at that light, man. That is friggin' awesome. All right, so with that in mind, I am going to start listening to some instrument prep material.
The pedostatic system, really?
So this one here is about the pedostatic system, which is like private pilot level stuff. But I'm reviewing all of it just because at the end of the day, I mean, you're gonna get asked a question like, what does your airspeed indicator look like when you've got a pedo blockage? And you really have to like wrap your head around all the possible failure modes. So I'm just gonna review all of it. I think that one is if you have a pedo blockage, your airspeed indicator acts like an altimeter. So if you go up, it reads high. If you go down, it reads low. I think that's the answer. But anyway, I'm gonna review all this stuff because that's where I'm at.
For the exams, you're going to need to know, well, how this is plumbed, and as well, how errors in the plumbing, specifically blockages in various places, can cause errors for you as a pilot. Now, it's going to go to much more than just your exam knowledge, however, because in real life, it is possible. Pedo tubes are really bad for getting blocked.
All clear? Magnetic variation and deviation were never concepts that I found weird. It makes total sense to me. Contacts! Variation is the issue with the chart. Deviation is the issue with the physical compass calibration to the aircraft. But I've always had trouble visualizing the acceleration and deceleration errors with compass dip and the leading and lagging of the magnetic compass. So I'm reviewing all that stuff right now.
Now, I'll admit, when I draw this,
even I can sometimes get turned around a little bit, so I've got to stop and think about, okay, exactly how is this going to work?
So I'm just really getting warmed up, so it's good to have a resource like Harv's Air, which has a lot of really good study material that you can review at your own pace. It's a Canadian flight school that's got an awesome online ground school. Not sponsored, just saying it's awesome. So I'll basically be studying while I'm driving. That's kind of part of what this commute is good for. It really forces me to focus. So I've got something like about 60 solo landings now in the Harvard. I'm at a point where I'm feeling like I'm not afraid of it as much as I just really respect it and I want to maintain currency in it. My first landing with Martin was okay, but my second one I tried for a 3-pointer and really totally screwed it up. Let's review. All right, we are clear to stop. And everything is checked, gear is still down. Laps are full. So the main mistake here is that I bled off the speed below 80 way too high and way too soon, and I landed shorter than I really wanted to. Kind of intentionally really set myself up for a very nose up. Like I wanted to get a 3-pointer, ended up dropping it on from a little too high, landing tail wheel first. Way higher than I thought. Yeah. That was a firm one.
872 cleared 2.
Yeah, you needed a tail hook for that one.
So that was honestly probably one of my worst Harvard landings. I'm glad I did it while I was warming up with Martin. It went a lot better with Brian. I'm not shooting for flight chops for the next while. I've got the full beard going. The chops are off. This is going to be 3 months worth of basically staying current in the Harvard and studying for my instrument written test. I'm committing to at least 1 hour per day of studying for the INRAT, which is the Canadian Instrument Written Test. Okay, so the belts. Okay, so make sure it's set to fasten mode. Yep. Okay. All right, and then make sure they're reasonably tight by pulling these tabs. This tab there. And let's get you to show me that you can open and close the canopy. Okay, so let go, and that's locked. Yep. Okay, and then there you go. Okay, that's it. Okay, so your stick is still there, and you're gonna keep your feet on those
Keep my feet back here,
floorboards,
basically.
and you're gonna see those pedals doing crazy stuff during takeoff and landing, mostly landing. Otherwise, we're good? Good. Okay, any questions, like I said, you can ask. Just try to avoid talking on top of radio unless it's really important.
Will do.
Okay.
Want me to close this now?
Yeah, you go ahead and close that. So my last flight in the T6 was basically a bit of a breakthrough in that it was the first time where during the shutdown checklist, basically I realized I had not felt the nervous butterflies feeling at any point during the flight or even before it. I think partly because I had to do so much work to get the airplane out. Gotta move the chippy, probably the steerman, this RV, that RV, in order to get this thing out of here. So there was some physical exertion involved there. So by the time I got to flying, I was a little sweaty and out of breath, so I didn't have time to get into my head about it, which is probably a good thing. So that was a huge breakthrough. Now I still have great respect for the airplane, but it's nice just not to feel afraid of it.
Someone with a 519 area code said, "Hi Steve, Merry Christmas. Victor here. I am IBC too far away to come and help this time. Want to reply?"
Yes.
What do you want to say?
Thanks, Vic. I seem to actually have enough people volunteering to help out, so we should be good. Don't worry about it. I'm good to go. Will not damage any airplanes.
Your reply to someone with a 519 area code says, "Thanks Vic, I seem to actually have enough people volunteering to help out, so we should be good. Don't worry about it, I'm good to go, will not damage any airplanes. Ready to send it?"
Send.
I'll send it.
Also, damn. This is my first new car in a long time. My last car was an 06 WRX. Love that car, but wowzers, man. This technology is unbelievable. I can do conference calls, receive and respond to text messages while I'm driving without being unsafe. So this car has really made it possible also for me to do this drive to Windsor painlessly compared to my last car, which actually got to a point where the cruise control stopped working. So doing a 3-hour drive when you don't even have help with cruise control sucks. This thing has adaptive cruise control, so not only, and lane assist, so not only does it maintain my distance from the car in front of me, it also like bumps off the lane lines if I happen to like get tired or something. So it's almost like a Tesla, but not quite. But anyways, that's a, I guess this is a vlog, we can talk about stuff. It's real life, right? This is it. fitting in the studying for the instrument written test into real life requires finding a way, wherever you can, to remove distractions, remove things that get in the way of what's ultimately a really hard task, which is studying and absorbing the material. All clear? So it's pretty surreal to be at a point where I can take a passenger in a Harvard. But just to be clear, Brian's not paying anything. He's just riding along for me to go to a currency flight. Contact!
Okay, to be Golf Foxtrot, cross 30, and then Hotel India, and we're going to give way to the 172, and we're good for taking off of India on 25 with no backtrack. You're good back there? All good back here. Alright, cool. Alright. So there's no mistaking you're in a warbird in this thing, eh? Not at all.
They love to ask these questions on the exam, so pay attention. Which way is the compass card rotating? Does it move up or does it move down due to these errors?
It's a good drink.
So, let's look at them in detail now.
Good drink.
The first one we want to talk about is northerly turning error.
So I'm kind of realizing, like, I don't even know if an hour a day is enough. I'm 3 or 4 days in here, and I just feel like I'm still reviewing PPL stuff, but there is some stuff that definitely I need to solidify. I don't know, I might need to rethink the schedule. I'm definitely going to do big chunks occasionally, but I thought an hour a day minimum would kind of get me some good progress, but now I'm wondering if that's even enough. What do you guys think?
Again, very important you know this. Transport Canada, again, on the written exam, just loves to ask questions like this.
Okay, I'm good to go. You're still good to go? Good to go. Airways Tower, it's Victor India Juliet holding short of 25 at India, ready to go for the local east via Essex.
Victor India Juliet, not above 2,500 in the zone from India, clear takeoff runway 25.
Okay, not above 2,500 in the zone, clear to take off from India 25, Victor India Juliet.
I almost always fly with cameras for debrief purposes, so I really hadn't intended to share this widely, but I actually sunk up and shared this entire raw flight with Brian, who's a Patreon supporter, and then decided I'd share it with the rest of the supporters as an exclusive.
Alright, here we go. It's gonna get loud. Power set. And I did check the instruments, I just didn't localize it. Brakes, gear up.
This diagram, I've seen this a million times and it's never been intuitive to me. So I'm gonna really try to absorb it this time. I theoretically understand it, but I wanna just really have it locked in. So here we go, back to the old northerly turning error review.
We're imagining in this case that this airplane on the left is flying towards magnetic north. Now initially when you look at this, this can be a little bit confusing, this diagram, because then it has another plane off here on the right, so this airplane here, that's coming up in this direction. Well, this plane, although he's heading to the same point in the sky, is actually supposedly traveling towards the south.
That's why my brain melts when I see stuff like this. So okay, that's the first time I've had that explained that clearly. This diagram has just always confused me at a glance. I remember going back to my private days and being like, what am I looking at? Who else is familiar with this one? Like, it doesn't make sense to me that this is such a widely used diagram. It is not super clear. My plan was to do a couple warm-up circuits solo, and then I was going to take up Brian, who had been asking to go flying forever, but I didn't want to take any passengers until I had more than 50 solo landings in this thing. I think as of today, I'm now at like 65.
Good job holding altitude though. Thanks. Okay, you can't really see much of this thing. Alright, so you can fly it around, man. You don't have to go straight if you want to. Just make sure you don't gonna hit anybody. Maybe do a little S-turn so we know that there's nobody around, and we'll just do a little look. You're doing a good job holding altitude. You're within plus or minus 100 feet. Right on, man. You're flying a warbird. Awesome.
And since this is a New Year's Day episode, let's talk about some resolutions. Beyond attacking the instrument rating, I need to get my logbook sorted out. I got paper scraps and email notes and text files, so I'm going to ForeFlight logbook. This is actually the track log from Brian's flight. It's super easy to import. I love this. Can't believe I got this one right. Visualizing questions like this in my head. Anyway, I think I definitely need a heading indicator to look at, so I guess you can use your E6B for this type of question, but yeah. This is the type of stuff that makes my brain melt.
Alright, now let's think this one through. If we're pulling into a climb with a constant power setting, we are going to be decelerating. And 070 is an easterly heading. Deceleration errors don't really happen unless you're going... Oh, correction. Deceleration errors do happen on the easterly or westerly headings. So it's going to... I can't remember. I can't remember this stuff, man. ANS.
So I actually did remember the ANS acronym, and this slide popped into my head, and I did have it right. But the moral of the story is, you just need a scrap piece of paper to visualize this stuff, because I should have got it right.
Accelerate north, decelerate south. So it's going to turn toward the north. So it's going to become a 050. See if we're right. Wah, wah. Nope. Yeah. It's pretty frustrating.
Alright, here come the rest of the flaps. You can really feel the braking effect of that, eh?
Now, although this one worked out a lot better than the landing with Martin, I'm still disappointed that I did bleed the speed off sooner than I really wanted to, and I'm landing a lot shorter than I need to. I mean, this runway in Windsor is huge. So, and I know they're going to want me to get off to the taxiway further down, so there's no need to land short here. And that one's what we call a tail low wheeler, so not a three-pointer.
Alright, that was a lot better than my landing with Martin, my last one. And this is where it gets a little squirrely, you just gotta keep her straight. Alright, good stuff, man.
Now, another big thing that's happening in 2019 is that I'm taking Flight Chops international. I've got lots of invites from you guys filed, but please send them again in case I lost them. And if you've got any ideas that you haven't sent, please send them. This is gonna be an awesome year. We'll talk more about that in future episodes, and keep your Flight Chops sharp. Anyway, so logbook up to date. Studying for the written test. An hour a day minimum. Maintaining currency in the Harvard. Making sure my family still loves me. Yeah. So it's hard. And there's possibly going to be a Vans aircraft build fitting into all this. So, got to get this done.